This is Cashing Out on VSiN, the sports betting network.
All right, let's do it. Another hour of Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo, taking you through the late hours of your Sunday night, right on in to your Monday morning, especially for our friends over there on the East Coast. We've got some great guests lined up this hour. We're going to talk to our friend Jonathan Davis about a phenomenal finish in Winnipeg. Game 7, and you couldn't have gotten a better ending. Seriously, I don't think you or I could have scripted a better finish in this one than the one that we received. We'll break it down with Jonathan here shortly, and then we'll hit the hardwood later on in the hour with our buddy Grant Mitchell. You can catch him on Forbes and, of course, the Ride the Line podcast. We'll talk Game 7s, Game 1s, and more in the NBA playoffs with Grant later on this hour. But let's take it back to the ice, because I know, look, I'm not the hockey expert here at the network, and we usually defer to better minds than mine when it comes to talking about puck, like Jonathan Davis, like our friends that we've had on in the past, Johnny Lazarus, and so many others who are great at breaking down these Stanley Cup playoffs. But that Game 7, Winnipeg, St. Louis, could not, if you were a Jets fan, been more of an emotional roller coaster. I mean, that game, from the start, right off the bat, it's Connor Hellebuyck's never gonna exercise these demons, never gonna break the postseason curse, right? This is a guy who not just is the runaway for the Vezina this year, but as a goaltender, to be a finalist for the Hart Trophy. I mean, that shows what a superb, sensational season Hellebuyck has had. And it's the same old story in the playoffs, right? Can he get over that hump? Can he break the stigma that he is not a playoff performer? And early on, the answer was no. Almost immediately, Winnipeg finding themselves in a 2-0 hole. They get one back on a power play. They give it right back. 3-1 St. Louis. And then, final 2 minutes of work. The Jets get on the board, make it 3-2, and inside of 2 seconds to go, a desperation centering attempt from Kyle Connors. Cole Perfetti, who had the power play goal to make it 2-1 earlier in the game, finds it, deflects it, tips it in, and we've got OT in Winnipeg. The sea of white in the arena, on the streets. It's one of the best hockey scenes, one of the best sport scenes that you could envision, and the Winnipeg Jets force overtime. It was, from that point on, 35 minutes of back and forth, thrilling hockey. It felt like Winnipeg had the advantage. They were firing more shots off. I mean, they outshot St. Louis at the end of the day by 17 shots on goal. It felt like once that tip, that deflection off the stick of Perfetti went in, with 1.6 seconds left, Winnipeg had the momentum. It wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when in overtime. And it takes 2 OTs, 35 minutes of hockey, but the Jets get it done just shy of the 100th minute of the game almost. And Winnipeg, moving on. They will host Dallas, round 2. That is going to be some series. The Stars, I would imagine, do we have early lines? Yes, we do. Dallas going to be a favorite on the series here, as they're laying 45 cents. Winnipeg, plus $1.25 over at DraftKings, despite having home ice, despite being 3-1 against Dallas in the regular season. How about Dallas coming in with a save percentage under 88% against Winnipeg this regular season, and 0 power play goals? The Jets didn't just beat Dallas 3 out of 4. They dominated them in every aspect of the game. Now it's the playoffs, different story. Peter DeBoer, as a Devils fan, I can tell you, he's a guy you probably want on your bench in the playoffs. But Winnipeg, 2 teams coming off of Game 7, so momentum strong for both sides. Winnipeg doesn't have to travel. They stay home. They're undefeated at home so far this postseason. All 4 of their wins. Home team won every game that series. It's a rarity, but it happened. I might take a flyer on this Jets team. So if you want to go series, they're plus 125. If you want to go game by game, Game 1, Dallas is going to be an ever so slight favorite, laying 15 cents. Winnipeg, not in plus money territory, but a minus 105 dog in that one. So that's how game one will shape up between two of the premier teams in the Western Conference. But Winnipeg, take a few more hours, let it sink in, enjoy it, because that was a win for the history books. Let's take it over to the NBA, where we had a game one and a game seven. Game seven in Houston. Golden State, we took them on the money line, part of the hedge we've been discussing all series long. Rockets 27-1 going into it. They fall down 3-1 in the series. Try to hedge with Golden State game five. Try again game six, lose them both. Probably placed a bigger money line bet plus $1.15 on the Warriors game seven than I would have liked. It gets home. We end up making a small profit on the series as a whole, considering the Rockets futures ticket is up in flames. But the Warriors, I was really impressed by their ability to go out there after losing two straight, road environment, and win a game, or at least, let's look at it from a micro a little bit, to play as dominant of a first half as they did when Steph Curry didn't have a point for about the first 22, 23 minutes of action. For Golden State, a team that I've been talking about, and I've said, look, this is a team that has shown us if Steph and Jimmy on certain nights aren't contributing at least 60% of their offense, they're not able to win. They're not capable of scoring. Well, a couple of guys who had been pretty quiet offensively throughout the postseason thus far. Draymond Green, say what you want about his defensive contributions. Draymond's been a walking under offensively. He had double-digit points, I think, at the half. Did most of it in the first half. But Draymond got involved. Buddy Hield, game of a lifetime. 6 threes at the half, 22 points. I don't think he scored a point in the third quarter. Reigns in 11 more in the fourth, including a questionable late one. Might have spoiled some in-game total unders that people had in garbage time. But Buddy Hield finishes 33 points, 9 for 11 from beyond the arc. In a night where Steph, look, he still had a respectable game, had 22. What I loved from Steph's game was that he grabbed 10 boards. He facilitated when he was doubled and when he was taken out of plays where he was maybe looking to shoot and maybe originally trying to score. He dished it off, 7 dimes, 10 boards, constant movement, setting guys up for success. You know, Steph, the way he moves, I call it the Steph slither, right? It's like this guy just doesn't stop. He's like a snake. He just keeps on slithering through. And he either finds the ball in space and gets the shot he wants, or he gets it off to a teammate, because when there's more often than not 2 guys on Steph, that means that there's someone somewhere open, ready to shoot. Happen to be Buddy Hield more often than not in this game 7. But the Warriors' ability to win on the road in a game where Steph offensively did not have his A game was encouraging. Here's what's discouraging. 3 bench points when you're going to Minnesota, where the Timberwolves are, I would say, one of the deeper teams in the West. Maybe not to Oklahoma City's caliber, but Nickeil Walker-Alexander, Dante DiVincenzo, right? They can get buckets off the bench in their backcourt. So Minnesota, more scoring options than Golden State. Golden State defensively, going to be an intriguing matchup for the Wolves. I'm excited for this series. This doesn't feel like a 6-7. It certainly does not feel like a 6 seed versus a 7 seed. But hey, then again, we said it, right? 2 wins separated the 3 seed Lakers from the 7 seed Warriors this postseason. 1 win from the Wolves, who ended up going there to crypto and stomping the Lakers out in that series. Going to be interesting. We talked about the Lakers' size issues. Well, how about Golden State's size issues, right? And Draymond, of course, always will play bigger than he is. But the Warriors, you look at who they ran out there, and Pajemski and Hield, and that was an awfully small starting 5. I think Jimmy Butler was the tallest guy in the starting 5 at 6'8". So now you got Rudy Gobert and Jules Randle. How much Quentin Post are we going to have to see in this series? Like, how much are the Warriors going to have to alter their lineup and maybe run with a lineup that lost them some games against Houston, as opposed to the Game 7 lineup that ultimately proved to be successful? The mixing and matching, and we've seen a trend of some mixing and matching. We've seen Milwaukee do it out of desperation, and it looked like it was working. They were up 118-111, and it worked until it didn't. The lineup mixing and matching at this juncture, at this point in the postseason, when you should have everything figured out, might be something that works against Golden State. You have your constants. You have your stability. Steph, Jimmy, Draymond. Even if Draymond's not doing much offensively, you know what he brings to the table. You have your stability there. How are they going to navigate? All right, how much Buddy Hield do we need? How much Quentin Post do we need? Where do we sacrifice offense for size and whatnot? The matchups in this series between Golden State and Minnesota are going to be really intriguing. And the Timberwolves coming out, it opened at 5, now already 5.5 point favorites in that game 1. Folks, do you want to bet smarter, not louder? If so, got to check out our friends over at the Sharp Plays and sharpplays.com, where real bettors go to get ahead. Most of the betting world is just noise, chasing steam, copying picks, recycling the same old value plays. They're not sharp, they're just parrots. The Sharp Plays is the source they're echoing. Since 2011, it's been locked in with what the real pros are betting. Elite groups, sharp money, the kind that actually move the market. When the Sharp Plays jump on a side, the line reacts every single time. With insider info and powerful AI tools, you're not guessing, you're getting ahead. So sign up now for free betting reports, real-time alerts, and next-level intel via email or Twitter. And don't take anyone's word for it. Check the receipts. Full betting logs are live on the site. So why follow the crowd when you could lead it? Go to sharpplays.com. Respected, watched, and feared. That's the Sharp Plays. Up next, going to talk a little more puck with our guy Jonathan Davis, VSiN, hockey analyst and expert. I can't wait. Going to dive in to Monday's action, some series plays and prices, and more, all right here on Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo. Don't go anywhere. You're locked into VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Welcome back to Cashing Out here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Cashing Out continues with myself, Joe Ceraulo, taking you through the late hours of your Sunday night. And with back-to-back days of incredible Game 7s on the ice, who better to break them down with, look ahead to the second round of the Stanley Cup Playoffs than VSiN hockey expert and analyst, our friend, follow him on Twitter at West Coast Hockey, that's HKY for hockey. Jonathan Davis joining us now on the Progressive Guest Line. My man. We're just, it feels like a few minutes removed from that Winnipeg, St. Louis Game 7 double OT thriller. What a game that was. Can you put into perspective for maybe the casual fan, just historically speaking, what we saw? Because that was, I say, one of the best first round series maybe in the history of the playoffs.
It was, and to think that what we came off on Saturday night with Dallas and Colorado and the storyline there. But look, tonight was the 50th. It was the 200th Game 7 that we have had in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and it's only the 50th that has gone to overtime. And I don't know how many of them went to double overtime. But the Winnipeg Jets, down 3-1 with 3 minutes to go in the game, they pull their goalie. They score 2 to tie, including the game tire with 1.6 seconds left, and the home faithful were just going bonkers. It's a whiteout in Winnipeg. That's the tradition there. Everybody comes dressed to the game in white. You have the great scene outside. You've got the goalie, Connor Hellebuck, that has been trying to exercise his demons of not being able to win the big game. He gives up 2 quick goals. You think maybe he's going to get pulled. He doesn't. He settles down. And then the miraculous comeback. Not just 1 overtime. We're treated to 2, and it was just phenomenal. Like I said, I didn't think it could be better than what took place on Saturday night in Dallas with the former Colorado Avalanche player Mikko Rantanen, not just getting a hat trick, Joe, gets a hat trick in the third period. First ever player in a Game 7 in NHL history to record a hat trick in the third period of a Game 7. It's been an unbelievable weekend for hockey fans.
Back-to-back days with historic Game 7s, Jonathan. It's been absolutely nuts. Look, and now we get those 2 teams, the victors of each of them, squaring off against one another. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on the series, but you mentioned Connor Hellebuck, and that's the terminology I've used so far this show numerous times. Exercising his demons, right? Now that he's got that monkey off his back, What are you expecting out of him moving forward? Do you think we see maybe a looser, different Hellbuck? I mean, this guy's a finalist forget the Vezina. That's in his back pocket. He's a Hart Trophy finalist. The guy is incredibly talented and great at what he does, but the playoffs roll around. He goes James Harden on us. Do you think that changes with this Game 7 win?
It's possible, but I mean, let's not forget that, he got torched on the road. He got pulled 3 times, in the games. Each game in St. Louis, he didn't finish any of the games. He gave up another 3 goals tonight and needed a miraculous comeback from his team to salvage it. Now, look, he got better as the game went on. That, no question about it. But I don't think he's free and clear, but definitely for the Jets to prevail, for Connor Hellebuyck to get the win, it has to be a confidence boost. But he still has to figure out, how to be better on the road, because you don't want to keep going to Game 7.
Yeah, especially against the Peter DeBoer-led squad. DeBoer improves, wins another Game 7 there at the helm in Dallas. Now let's talk about this series. The Stars minus 145. Winnipeg with home ice plus 125. What's your lean on this series that starts on Wednesday?
Well, I think I would play, first off, I'd play the over in Game 1. I mean, I think you've got 2 teams that are going to be utterly exhausted heading into this one. And, again, Winnipeg, the President's Trophy winner, home ice advantage, and yet they come into this one as the underdog. They played Dallas very well this year. I mean, I think they won 3 of the 4 games against Dallas. Most notably, they won a couple of games in Dallas down the stretch when Dallas was going through that 8-game skid. I would only bet Dallas. For me, I'm still not sold on Winnipeg, and I like how Dallas got through Colorado. That to me, and for many, was a Stanley Cup preview, or could have been, or at least a conference final. They're going to get back their best defenseman, Miro Heiskanen. Dallas will at some point in this series. They're going to get likely their leading goal scorer, Jason Robertson, back. Still, Winnipeg was without Mark Scheifele tonight, their number 1 center. I don't think they can get through this series without him. Dallas, has even more talent than St. Louis. They lost their best defenseman in the first period. Don't know the length of his injury as well. So, look, everybody's hurt come playoff time. At the end of the day, I'll take Dallas in this series, and I would just play the minus 145. The one thing we do find out, round 2 is never as good as round 1. Guys are just, as the further you go on, the more beat up you are. So for me, in this series in particular, I'll take the minus 145 Dallas on the money line.
Jonathan, I wasn't all that impressed with Vegas round 1 against Minnesota. I thought the Wild hung in there in some games where the Knights had opportunities to bury them. Edmonton comes in there like a bat out of hell in Game 3, never looks back. 4 straight wins against the Kings. You can get them plus 110 in Game 1. They're also slight favorites, minus 115 on the series as a whole. But I'm looking at Game 1 Tuesday, and I'm thinking I want to be all over Edmonton riding that momentum. What are your thoughts on this series?
Joe, the words of Lee Corso, not so fast, my friend. I like Vegas. And I'll tell you, look, I understand, the thought that Vegas, look, they didn't play well early on, but their coach, Bruce Cassidy, made a big adjustment in the final 2 games of this series. And he put together a line of Mark Stone, Jack Eichel, and William Karlsson, 3 of his best forwards. And all 3 guys can play a 200-foot game in hockey, which means they can play both ends of the ice. They shut down Matt Boldy and Kirill Kaprizov of the Minnesota Wild, their 2 stars in the final 2 games. They'll go up against McDavid and Draisaitl. No easy task, but look, I think that they'll be able to handle it. The better goalie is in Vegas. Calvin Pickard did his job to give up 1 less goal than Darcy Kemper from the LA Kings, who's a Vezina finalist. I just think that Vegas is deeper. They've got a better blue line. Edmonton's still going to be without their best defenseman. I like the Golden Knights in this one.
I love it. Let's talk a little Eastern Conference hockey, because we've got 1 game and 1 game only on Monday. Florida, Toronto, the Panthers, short favorites on the road, minus 125. Bigger favorites in the series as a whole, minus 170. So it seems like it would behoove you more to play this series game by game rather than laying that hefty price on the Panthers for the series as a whole. But is Florida, I mean, is this as clear-cut as I think it is that Florida's the pick here?
I don't know if it's as clear-cut. I mean, look, Toronto's better. Look, the Florida, there are a couple of things going into this series. Toronto's got 3 players from last year's Florida Panthers Cup winning team. Anthony Stolar is the backup goalie, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, one of their defensemen, and Steven Lorenz, a guy who gets spot duty with Toronto. But the Leafs are better. They're better constructed than they were before. In saying that, look, I'm on Florida. I'll take Florida minus 1.5 games to win this series. A couple of things for tomorrow, and I'll have a big write-up tomorrow on this game, and I'm going to do a couple of little quick hitters on the other series just to kind of lay out some prices in advance. But Brad Marchand, the former Bruin who's faced the Leafs 4 times in his playoff career, has never lost to Toronto in a series. I like him tomorrow for an assist. Sam Bennett, a real thorn in the side. I like him to lead Florida in goals. Matthew Nyes for Toronto, I think he's going to have a big impact. But I do like Florida in this series. And also play Mitch Marner. Get ahead on this one. It's the baby bump, Joe. He and his wife had a baby this weekend. Always like a player to score a goal in his first game after the birth of a child.
I love it. It's like me looking for a home run prop after a guy becomes a father out there and on the diamond. So Marner to score. I might tell you on that just on principle. Jonathan, about a minute left before we go. Game 1, Carolina-Washington. I know Carolina's the heavy favorite on the series, minus 160. But this Game 1, you can get the Capitals plus 105. Ovi in a Game 1. Is it worth taking Washington here? What are your thoughts?
It's not a good enough price for me. Maybe get something in game. Look, I don't trust either Carolina goalie, and I'm still not sold on the Capitals. So I don't know. I think I'll probably target some player props in this one. I just can't play either side. I just don't have enough faith. For me, it's the one series that I'll tread lightly on, at least from picking a side, or maybe I'll look at a total at some point. But I can't pick a side in this one.
Yeah, total coming in 5.5 if you don't trust either goaltender. Jonathan, as always, man, really appreciate the time. Thanks so much for hopping on.
All right, bud. Have a good rest of your night.
Make sure you follow him on Twitter at West Coast Hockey. That's HKY. Jonathan Davis, everyone. VSiN's hockey expert and analyst. On the other side, we're going to look at some upcoming MLB series prices. Monday's around the corner, and that means a whole slate of new series getting going. It's Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo.
Welcome back to Cashing Out here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Cashing Out continues here on VSiN with me, Joe Ceraulo. Great stuff there from our buddy Jonathan Davis, breaking down some puck. Second round of the playoffs officially set. Money pouring in on Dallas. On DraftKings, the Stars opened up minus 145. Winnipeg was plus $1.25. Now minus 160. Winnipeg up to plus 140 there on DK. So if you think the Jets have it in them, the President's Trophy winners, if you think they have it in them this series, you can get them plus $1.40. It might make sense to wait and let that money keep coming in on Dallas. By the way, if you like Dallas, maybe instead of laying the 60 cents, now that price keeps moving, you look at them to win the conference, plus 205, to win it all, maybe 5-1. Dallas taking down Colorado was massive. I mean, the Avalanche were the favorites to win the Cup going into that opening round. Now they're already gone. They've bit the dust. Florida, Carolina, your new favorites, plus 425, plus 475, respectively. Dallas at 5-1, your shortest shot from the West, your third shot out of the 8 remaining on the board. How about Winnipeg and Washington? Most points in their respective conferences. They're the 7th and 8th shots, 9-1 and 10-1, respectively. But Dallas 5-1 might be a better play than laying 60 cents this round. Then you can worry about hedging opportunities as you go on a little bit down the line. But I would probably go that route instead of playing the Stars minus 160 against Winnipeg. Also, you could go game by game. Minus 115 game 1 was where it opened. I'll pull that up quickly, see if it's moved. Actually, it's moved the other direction. It's minus 110. So the series has moved towards Dallas by 15, 20 cents. The game has moved 5 cents in the Jets' direction. Minus 110 each way. So if you like the Stars that much, you might want to just go ahead and play them game one. But I would, if we're talking futures, if we're talking series, I'd go 5-1 to hoist the cup before I would lay 60 cents to get past the Jets here. Just better ROI. Let's go over to the MLB. We've got some new series starting on Monday. And here's one that really intrigues the hell out of me. I think it's going to be the best series of the week. San Diego, the Yankees. How about Nick Pivetta opposing Carlos Rodon? Let's take a look at how these guys have fared against each other's opposing lineups. Pivetta has held the Yankees at bay for the most part. He has been a little susceptible to giving up the long ball, but this year he's 5-1 with a 1.78. That whip is 0.8 on the year. He's only given up 2 home runs on the season. So if he can keep the ball in the park at Yankee Stadium, these Yankee hitters haven't had much success against Pivetta outside of the long ball. 12 hits, 4 of them home runs. Judge, 5 of 18. It's a 278 clip. 2 solo shots among those 5 hits. The other 3 hits were singles for Mr. Judge. So Pivetta's pretty much either been make a mistake against these guys or set them down. 13 Ks as well in those 46 ABs. Rodon, on the other hand, has already given up 6 home runs on the year as a whole. He's settled in a bit. His last 3 starts, Rodon's been sharp. This is a guy we got to give credit where it's due. Because after his 4th start of the year against San Francisco, he was coming off a stretch of 3 straight starts of 4 earned or more. His ERA was 5.5. He was 1-3, had lost 3 in a row. Now he's won 3 in a row. He's Mr. Decision. He's 4-3 in 7 starts. ERA is down 2 full runs from where it was after that start. He's gone 6+ 3 straight. Also, by the way, he's gone 6+ even in some of his bad starts. 5 out of 7 on the year. 2 of his losses, he went 6 innings. He's gone 6+ 3 straight. 2 earned in his last time out against Baltimore in a blowout win, 15-3 for the Yanks. Prior to that, 13 innings across 2 starts, 0 earned. So Rodon has really settled in nicely. How has he fared against current Padre hitters? Held him to a 207 clip, 17 for 82. 1 home run. That belongs to Manny Machado. Now, Machado and Iglesias combined 10 for 35. So they've hit him fairly well. I believe it's going to be, Tatis has faced him. He's 0 for 2 with a walk. I will say, 17 for 82 looks great. That's brought down heavily by Martin Maldonado, a guy who's only got a job in the bigs for his glove. Everyone knows it. 0 for 14 against Carlos Rodon. You take Maldonado out of the equation, the Padres are hitting 250. It's not brilliant, but it's a lot better than the 207 that's largely thanks to one hitter. Look, you can get the Padres in this spot on the money line, plus $1.25. I'm seeing the best price at most shops. I'm going to check, because, we're in California right now. Going to check Profit X for this one. And you can get them plus 126 over there. Been loving the odds that you get over there playing baseball with our friends at Profit X. But always shop around. Find your best odds available to you. But Rodon going up against this Padres lineup that's getting a little healthier. Some guys that have been quieter last year and a half. Xander Bogaerts, for example. He's 5 for 12 against Rodon. So he's seen the ball well coming out of his hand. Padres lineup, like I said, it's getting healthier. Pivetta looks really good. I know Rodon's been great, but I lean at a price like plus 25 cents. I got to lean towards San Diego in that spot. The total is low. Yankee Stadium to have a total of, I'm seeing 8 if you want to lay 25 cents. 7.5 you can get even money. But that is a low total for a baseball game at Yankee Stadium. I mean, it makes sense. Both pitchers are rip-roaring hot. But the series as a whole, well, check on those prices really quick for you. You're going to get plus money with the Padres in that one, as they are plus $1.55 on the series. Wow, the Yanks minus 190. Game 2 pitching matchup, supposed to be Michael King against Clark Schmidt. I mean, that's a clear advantage, Padres. Game 3's pitching matchup would be Dylan Cease versus Cookie Carrasco. Dylan Cease is having an off year, but my goodness, you're running out in three games for San Diego. You're running out Nick Pivetta, Michael King and Dylan Cease opposite Carlos Rodon, Clark Schmidt, and Cookie Carrasco, and you want to give me 55 cents on that series plus money for the Padres, I have to take that. When you win the pitching matchup on paper, all 3 games, I don't care if you're on the road, I've got to take a plus 155 series price on you. I mean, I was going through those pitching matchups and I was waiting to see Max Fried's name pop up. No Fried? I mean, we're talking a legitimate pitching advantage. Game 1, you can call close to even though Pavetta's got a 1.78 on the season. Because Rodon's been phenomenal 3 games in a row, you can call game 1 a coin flip. But you got Michael King opposite Clark Schmidt and Dylan Cease opposite Cookie Carrasco, who I'm already going to say earned runs prop over whatever it is, 2.5, 3.5. That is a price I've got to take. Padres series plus 155. I mean, game 1 is the biggest toss-up, but San Diego can lose game 1 and still hit that series prop for you. Some other ones that intrigue me, Mets, Diamondbacks. Mets coming off a really disappointing Sunday in St. Louis. They had won 9 straight against the Cardinals. We're finally starting to flip the fortune because St. Louis is a team I've watched beat up on my Mets so much of my life. And you got a doubleheader on Sunday. A split will suffice. You'll get 2 out of 3 on the road after you beat Sonny Gray. I mean, the game you probably had the best shot at losing was Friday night. You come out of there with a win. Saturday gets rained out. Split the doubleheader for me Sunday. Let's get to Arizona and let's avenge the 2 out of 3 we just lost to the D-backs at Citi Field. Now the Mets have suddenly lost 4 out of 6. And I'm not going to press the panic button. I mean, this is a team that's been incredible this year. 3rd best record in baseball behind only the Dodgers and the Padres right now. But going to Arizona, I'll tell you what. The Padres might be a better play on the series than in game 1. I think the Mets are a better play in game 1 than on the series. The Mets minus 120 on the series. When game 2, as great as David Peterson's been and as great as he was in that game where Zach Gallen bested him and the D-backs beat the Mets, mainly beat the Mets bullpen in that game, you still got to go up against Gallen, who just dominated you a few days ago, game 2. You got a chance for Ryan Nelson, a guy who Arizona can't keep in the rotation, starter, bullpen, career-wise. He's got some ugly home-away splits at home. I mean, Arizona's a hitter's haven, right? You got Griff Canning going up there game 1, who thank God Jeremy Hefner realized, hey, maybe this guy should throw his slider more and his fastball less, and now he's got an ERA in the 2s, and it's a dead pick'em. You got a starting pitcher with an ERA 3 runs lower for the Mets. The Mets historically hit pretty well in Arizona. Pissed off. Now, I know they're coming off a doubleheader. Arizona's coming off an extra inning game in Philly. So both of these teams are traveling to Phoenix. I'm going the Mets game 1. I'd rather that than the series because you're getting a better price and it's just 1 game. Folks, you want to know where the money's really going? Unlike other sources, our betting splits come straight from Circa and DraftKings here at VSiN, so you get insight into where the sharp action's landing. Circa, of course, known for taking big bets from the pros, while DraftKings provides the more broad market perspective, meaning you're getting the real action, not just public money, but the wagers that move lines. See the percentage of bets versus the handle on every game, every sport, helping you make smarter, more informed plays. Plus, get VSiN's exclusive betting splits for as little as $9.99 your first 30 days only at VSiN.com/subscribe.
Welcome back to Cashing Out here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Cashing Out continues with me, Joe Ceraulo, taking you through the late hours of a Sunday night. And now with the NBA playoffs in full swing, second round matchups fully determined, 1 game in the second round underway as well. And in the books, let's take it to the progressive guest line. Let's welcome in our friend, Grant Mitchell. You can catch him and his terrific work over with Forbes and the Ride the Line podcast as well. And you can follow him on Twitter at Mile Mitchell. Grant, how are you, my friend? How did you enjoy Sunday's diverse hoops showing? 1 game 1, 1 game 7. What did you make of it all?
Yeah, I'm doing really good. NBA is my favorite sport, despite what that might seem like online. I know it's popular to hate on the NBA right now, but I really enjoyed the games today. I was looking forward to a great game 7 yesterday. Did not get that. So I'm glad that we did get that with today's game. And then also the game 1 you mentioned. I think that really set up what looks like a very riveting series moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think Indiana's live as hell in that one. So let's actually start there. Plus 170, the Pacers, still a great price on them to win the series with a 1-game advantage. Look, Grant, the way I'm seeing this, one of 2 things could go down. Cleveland could get really pissed off. Darius Garland could come back game 2 like a bat out of hell, and the Cavs could rattle off 4 straight wins. Or Indiana can push this thing 7 games. And with their depth, I mean, Cleveland's a team that likes to beat you because they can keep fresh legs. They've got great bench production. Indiana matches that. They match them in the backcourt. They match them with depth. I mean, plus 170. Would you say that's worth a flyer on the Pacers to win the series?
So I really do like the value there. I'm not going to deny that. My favorite bet before this series began was the Pacers at plus 2.5 games. Kind of like I talked about with you a week or 2 ago when I said take the Pistons at plus 2.5 games against the Knicks. Obviously, you're not going to get that deal right now because the Pacers went in there and they stole game 1. I don't know still if I'm confident that the Pacers will win the series, but I'm confident the Cavs have problems. So if I'm looking at that game 2 line and you're getting the Pacers for plus 9.5, which is about the same spread you got in game 1, well, look at how that turned out. The Pacers in the calendar year of 2025 are 39-15. They entered this series against a team that had all of these dominant metrics, and I thought they were going to catch them off guard, and they did. But the fact that the line is not adjusting really gives me confidence to go with them again. If you're Cleveland, Ty Jerome just took 20 shots in a playoff game. Ty Jerome had a heck of a year. This whole Cleveland team did. But they've got issues with Garland being out, and if he comes back, not going to be 100%. So I think on a game-to-game basis, looking at the Pacers on the spread does have some real value.
Yeah, and look, I mean, if you're going to take Indiana, you can go exactas right here of, 4-2 plus 550, 4-3 plus 850. I mean, I don't think the Pacers are going to win it in 5 or in a sweep. If you were to put a half a unit on either of those, you're getting better value right there than you are on the Pacers at plus $1.70 to win the series. But yeah, Cleveland's going to have to mix and match a little bit. I've been talking throughout the show how some teams have been making lineup adjustments. Golden State on the fly. Milwaukee tried it on the fly. I mean, Milwaukee replaced almost their entire starting 5 aside from Giannis. Cleveland, I don't think Max Strus and Sam Merrill are going to be comprising a backcourt that can beat Indiana. Certainly not one that can go toe-to-toe with Boston. What do you think they need to do with that lineup, if anything?
Yeah, it's tough to say because Cleveland has had a great year, and it's because they were a real team. And it's funny because it sounds like depth and having a variety of players you trust, it sounds like an asset, and it is during the regular season. But we've seen this in the past. When you get to the playoffs, everybody's so used to excelling at a team that you're looking around and saying, okay, who are the individuals who are going to step up? With Darius Garland being out of the lineup, that was supposed to be Donovan Mitchell. He had 33 points, but he went 13 of 30 from the field, 1 of 11 from 3. So considering the fact that Ty Jerome, again, did take those 20 shots, at least he was somebody who was trying to create some offense for himself. I'm not saying that the path to victory in the series is running the offense through him, but maybe bringing him into the starting lineup while Darius Garland is out, maybe that at least opens up some shot creation on the floor, allows Donovan Mitchell to get in a little bit of a better rhythm, and maybe that has a snowball effect. So maybe that's one move I would consider if Darius Garland is going to be out.
Grant, couldn't agree more. Houston Golden State Game 7. Warriors get there plus 115 on the money line. They opened plus 5 at Minnesota for that Game 1 coming up. It's already moved from 5 to 6, a full point there in Minnesota's favor. What do you attribute that to? Do you think it's because maybe Steph was off Game 7? Do you think it's because with Randall and Rudy Gobert, the Wolves have undeniable size that's going to pose a problem for Golden State? What's your outlook on that series, and where do you lean Game 1 with that number now at 6?
Yeah, you never want to lose value, and that's what you're accepting if you're betting the Timberwolves right now, because like you said, the line has moved a point in their favor. But that's something I would be willing to risk. That's the chance I would take. There are a lot of reasons to go with the Timberwolves here. Golden State is a very old team. Steph is 37, Jimmy Butler's 35, Draymond's 35. They just went game 7 on the road, and now they're going to have to turn around and go back on the road, while Minnesota, who's not only younger, is much more rested. So that's one big reason to go with them. What gave the Warriors a ton of problems in this series? The double big lineup of Steven Adams and Alperen Şengün, who, by the way, were not efficient offensively. It was just their size that did it. When you look at this Timberwolves team, look at what Rudy Gobert just did to a small team in the closeout game. Julius Randle, I called him the MVP of that first round series against the Lakers because I thought he outperformed expectations so greatly that he became the most important player. And you've also got to consider Steph is clearly injured. There's a video going around on X right now. I don't know if you've seen it, but Steph was going through his normal ball handling drill before the game. He couldn't really hold on to the ball. He took a 3 and he airballed it. He had 3 points in the first half. The thumb injury is getting to him. And for all of these reasons, I would hammer the Timberwolves on that -5, -6 in game 1. And I really like them to dominate this series. I would bet them at -1.5 on the series spread as well.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, they're big favorites on the series just to win it, -180, almost arguably an unbettable number. But if you take that spread into account, you can go +115 on Minnesota to cover the game and a half. Of course, for you folks out there, meaning that Minnesota would win either in 4, 5, or 6. How about a little Eastern Conference action? My Knicks taking on Boston. I'm saying it's a gentleman's sweep. Celtics in 5. I can't see the Knicks competing too much with the Celtics this series. You look at the price, Boston -800. When have we seen a 2 versus a 3 be this lopsided from a price perspective? -800 versus +550. I will say, I think 9.5 points might be too many. Game 1 is a Boston team that is a favorite of 8 or more is covered under 45% of the time this season. So I'd be inclined to look at, maybe Celtics to win between 1 and 9. Looking at some exactas there, but not quite on Boston to cover game 1. What do you think about game 1? What plays do you have?
No, I think what you said at the end there is pretty interesting because overall, I don't have a lot of opinions on this series. The biggest case I can make for the Celtics not to win in 4 or 5 games is that the whole world is already betting that. That's really all I can say. I can't point to numbers. I can't point to lineup combinations or defensive assignments and say, no, this is what everybody's missing with the Knicks. I got nothing there. So I was going to stay off the series spread, series futures, and all of that. I like what you said there because I think the spread for game 1 probably a little strong in the favor of the Celtics, but at the same time, I don't want to bet the Knicks spread because I don't think they have a chance of winning. So ultimately, I'm largely staying off of this game and this series. Maybe my opinion will change after I see game 1, game 2. But if I were to go with something, I actually really like what you said there. I think Celtics 1-9 could be a strong play.
Yeah, you can go Celtics in 5 plus 215 on the series. Still not a great price for an exacta like that. Hey, final 45 seconds. Thunder Nuggets. Any plays for that game Monday? OKC laying 9.5. 8 days of rest versus what? 1 day of rest? Quite the difference. What do you like, Grant?
Yeah, well, it sounds very lopsided when you put it like that, but I think the Game 7 win for the Nuggets was, first of all, it didn't take much energy and effort. It was not like that Warriors Game 7 win, and I think it instilled so much confidence in this team, a team whose defense was awful, fired the coach, and then they remember, wait a minute, we just won the championship a couple of years ago. We can do this. The Thunder have this terrific defense, but while they have height, they don't have a lot of pounds on the inside. I think Jokic is going to be able to bully his way on the interior. I would look at a strong night for him. Not saying the Nuggets win, but I do like them to cover that spread in game 1.
Grant Mitchell, our friend, check out his terrific work over at Forbes. Appreciate the time, my man. Thanks so much.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Folks, if you're ready to get in on the action, make sure you check out our friends at First Bet. They've got you covered. Sign up now. You'll get exclusive promos. You can bet on hundreds of thrilling pony races every day from your phone or computer. Just go to firstbet.com, #1stbet.com, promo code VSiN200. You'll get a 20% rebate. All wagers first 60 days up to $200. Don't miss out. Start now, firstbet.com.